Hello, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with Deborah Franklin. Guys, I'm so excited about this month of April because April is our month of doing what? Starting brand new things, making things happen. And just like the weather, we're going to be up and down, hot and cold, but we definitely going to stay right in the same vein of making it happen and starting things that we've never started before. All right, guys, we'll be right back with you right after this short break with Motivational Moment.
My baby can't explain what I'm going through, and I wonder if you're feeling it too, like I do. You know my mind is in a haze. It's all because of you.
Hey everybody, we are back for Motivational Moment, and this is your girl Deborah Franklin with Conversations with Deborah Franklin, of course. And with y'all, this month has been just I don't even know what other word to use outside of amazing or sound like the old people in church, like, because it's just no words to say because doors have been opening, opportunities have been there for me. I just don't even know what to do. It's just been wonderful. And it's almost to the point, which leads me to, y'all, it's in. You can get your copy of 21 Days, 21 Minutes of Prayer and Meditation now. Go to my website, order it on www.conversationsdeborahfranklin.com. It is there. And one thing that we talk about heavily in the book is about being intentional about everything that you do. This is your season to be intentional. You have everything that you pray about, everywhere that you go, your connections that you make, you're going to have to be intentional. Everything has to be done decently and in order, because the Bible says you have to have a plan. And when you have that plan, you have got to learn to work that plan. Work that plan like never before. And I tell everybody, and then somebody was like, so what do you mean about praying intentional and doing things intentional? I said, the biggest thing is kind of like when you're praying to God, or when little kids are coming to you. I want this, I want that, I want to go here, I want to go there. And then you say, look, stop it. What do you really want to do? You're telling them to be intentional. And that's what we want to do, because you're wondering, like, why is God not answering my prayers? Why is God not giving me what I want? Because you have not been praying with intentionality. You have got to be intentional in everything that you do in this season, down to what you wear, where you go, how you're doing it. And because you're going to have to be intentional. God wants us to be intentional in every state that we're in, because you're going to have, that way you have a better testimony. Because when you start seeing things happen, one thing after another, and I got some big news. Y'all, the book is not the news. The book was already done. This is not the news. The news is you can go on the website and get it, but it's not the news. I cannot wait to share all of the news with you, and then some of y'all already know I have a new job here in DC, and so this commute has been like crazy. But you know what? When God gives you something, he opens the doors for you. God will let you get new cars, new houses. He'll even make sure you got gas in the car to get to where you're going. But you have to be intentional. Think about if Sarah had not been intentional about her prayer of having a child, what would happen? She may not have ever had it. But the thing is, you got to be ready for when it happens, because I keep saying this over and over and over again. And I'm going to keep saying it, because this is a season of shifting. You're getting ready to see people that were not normally in the lead become and start being in the lead. You're going to start seeing people that that were never in the front to start to be in the front, because it is the time for everybody that's been in the shadows to start coming out. So go start that business. Go look for that new job. Go look for the new house. Go look for the new car. Yes, that is material. But now go look for your new spirituality. Go look for what can better you. Tonight we're going to be talking about how to better you. What do you have to do to make yourself more acceptable? What do you have to do to make yourself more marketable? You have got to jump out and take the bull by the horns and do what you have to do, because you are amazing in your own right. You are amazing. You can do what you set your mind to do. And then remember, we can talk about branding statements all day long. You can talk about what that means, but guess what? You are your brand. Learn to rock your brand every time you go out. Learn to rock your brand and every time you say something. Learn to rock your brand, because you are you and you are the best you. Stop trying to be like everybody else, because when you try to be like everybody else, guess what? You're not rocking your brand. Y'all, better yourselves, because we said April is our month of new beginnings and new things getting ready to happen, and that's what you have to do. Guys, that is your motivational moment. We'll be right back with our special guest. Have a great one. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Conversations with Deborah Franklin. I see you. I know you see someone sitting next to me. This is a diva, y'all.
Oh.
This the only diva I know that produces in pumps. In fact, that is what she calls herself.
That is
the
what I call
producer
myself.
in pumps. And I
Absolutely.
promise y'all, it's too hot outside, and I wasn't putting no pumps on because my feet would have been sweating, and I'd have been sliding up and down the street, up and down the street, up and down the stage.
But that's what makes it good.
No,
When you gotta slide
honey. I be all this chunky monkey be on the floor, honey. You hear what I say? Just as clumsy as I want to be.
Oh my
but
God.
tell us, who are you? Why did you choose that name? But I mean, because it stands out.
Thank you.
It does stand out, and I love it. I love it.
Appreciate that. Well, hey everybody. As it was mentioned, I'm producer in pumps, and I on Instagram is actually producing in pumps. And so I produce things, shows, and commercials, and I'm getting ready to do a documentary, some PSAs. Yeah,
Look at you. We might need to get her with conversations, honey.
and pitch a couple of shows coming up in the fall. So I'm excited.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah, so I was thinking about, how can I, like you talked about branding, right?
Right.
So what can I do to set myself apart? And I'm always wearing pumps, literally. So it's producing in pumps. And when people hear the name, those who really know me, they're like, girl, that fits you. Like,
but you know what? And so many times people get mixed up about what a brand statement is. And they don't realize that your brand statement is not your business cards. It's not your pens. It's not your iPad. It's not your cups. It's not your books. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's what people remember about you. That is what sets you apart. And that's how you know what your brand is. Because as soon as they say that, I asked somebody, I said, so when you think about me, what do you think?
What do you
and they
think?
say motivational, inspirational. I say, well, yes.
That's
I
right
am
alley.
definitely
That's
rolling in my brain.
Because I told you I heard you coming down the street before I saw you motivating the people on Georgia Avenue.
Hey,
so
you're trying to do the best we can.
Yeah,
honey,
you're
trying
doing
to do
it.
the best
You're
we
doing
can.
it.
Well, I want to talk to you about
Sure.
producing.
Yeah.
Why is let's take it this route.
Sure.
Why aren't there a lot of women in producing?
Interesting. And that's the part of the reason why too I named it Producing in Pumps, because I want to be clear that I'm female doing it. It's intentional, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
I like
so
intentionality.
so when I walk on the set, I'm in my stilettos. I'm there. I'm here. I'm female. You're gonna hear me come in. You're gonna hear me move around, and you're gonna hear me leave. But oftentimes we're not invited in. Surprisingly, right?
Wow.
So they want us to be the actors on on set and do some other things behind the scenes, but in terms of actually producing, it's kind of rough for us.
Wow, I never would have thought about that.
Yeah.
So and so when we say produce, what does that really mean? Because I mean, I think we kind of got that definition a little blurred.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
So produce is, you are the creative mind behind that project. It starts with you. It's your brainchild. And it's anywhere. It can involve casting. It can involve fundraising to get your project off the ground. It involves checking out different sites and scenes of what you want to include. So it is your brainchild. Literally.
Wow.
You're producing. You're birthing this thing.
Wow. So because you are the brainchild, because you are birthing, because you are, for lack of a better say, carrying this baby for the full term, how do you then include
Others.
the talent? Because if it's your baby, how do you work as a producer and the talent in that?
So, for me, honestly, in producing stuff, I can be sitting on an idea for months. Or a year or more, right? But it's when it's the right time, to push it out. And so with me, I pray about it. I meditate on it, who would be a good person to include on this show.
Right.
And oftentimes, I've included people who have never done television before.
You know what? And I think that's a good. I really do, because when you can get raw talent, and especially when they don't think they have any.
There you go. Yes, and the diamonds in the rough.
Yes, because it's like, and then if they want to learn and they want to be molded, it's like the project just takes wings.
Yes.
As opposed to, girl, I ain't doing that. That don't look like
Right.
me. I don't talk like that. I don't sing like that.
Right.
So how you gonna tell me what to do?
Exactly.
And you ain't got
all
a pot
of the
to piss
ego
in.
and everything.
Yeah, pot to piss in.
window to
and
throw it out of.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so most of the folks I've worked with, they've never stepped onto a set before.
Wow.
They've never been in front of a camera. But I tell you, every single time I've asked, people have said yes. I will inbox or I would send a text message. I remember my line sister, and she does weightlifting and everything, and it just hit me one day, and I said, you know what? I think it should be great. Should be a great host. Let's do a Fit Life show, and I just hit her up, and I said, you know what? I'm thinking about doing this show. Are you down? And she was like, I've never. What are you talking about? Really?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I'm serious. And she's like, man, I've never. Who just called someone up and asked them, do you want your own show? We talked a couple of days later, and there you have it. We finished the first season. She's, exercising now, getting ready for her next set of competitions.
Well, y'all know that's not my show. We ain't there yet. We working. We might slide. Yeah. Find something else for conversation.
And the show was nominated for an award.
Yes.
Yeah, on DCTV. And so it's done so well.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So what made you, I guess, even start to look at, well, you know what? She might have been your friend, but she also had something to sell.
She
had some skills.
She does.
So she just wasn't like a real diamond. She was a diamond in the rough,
in terms
but she
of
had
television.
something. She had some talent.
Motivation.
And motivation. So, but why her? Why do a lifestyle and fitness? I mean, everybody's doing lifestyle and fitness. I mean, so what made this stand out? Because you're telling me she got an award.
Right.
So what made her stand out to be bam?
Yeah, because, Stacey she's a natural, and I think how she talks to the guests and some of the ideas that she has, it's the energy. Everyone has energy.
Right.
When I met you, seriously, over at Mahogany Bookstore in Southeast for the opening, I felt your energy. Aww. And I was like, man, she is dope. And that's why I kept saying, Miss Deborah. And you gave me that look.
She put all the syllables in my name.
Miss Deborah.
And she don't even know I was loving it.
Right. You was like, oh, you just going to rename me, huh? And the first couple of seconds you met me, I said, yes, ma'am. But no, I felt your energy, and I just knew we were going to be connected in some way, shape, or form, right? So the same thing with Stacey, and so the show is taking off, and she's doing extremely well. I'm going to add some other components to it, so I'm looking forward to it. And she's willing to ride with me. She's willing to trust me.
That is key.
Trust the process.
Riding and trusting the process. So what would you tell somebody that wants to do this, but, it's not for me, but is it something that can be done overnight?
Now, you're saying from the producer's perspective or
both.
like a host?
Let's take both.
Both,
Let's look at both because, with our instantaneous society, and, sorry, y'all, this is live radio, live TV, so I forgot to put the phone on mute.
Somebody
Forgive
texting
me.
you.
No, it was some kind of Periscope.
Oh, okay. I said it's warm outside. Maybe
but, I know, right?
Like,
hey,
hey, what you doing later
y'all see, that's why we got the shoulders out. Come on, put your shoulders out because it's warm outside.
It is.
Yeah, and for us on the East Coast, this is hot. And wait a minute, but mind you, they all calling for it to be cold tomorrow.
Right.
So everybody is taking advantage, honey. Everybody
soaking it
is
all up.
When I tell you they soaking it up,
I'm soaking
already.
it up.
No, they naked already.
Oh, they naked.
I
did see some sights coming down to the studio.
Yeah, it was interesting. And look, as we digress.
That's right. Because the weather's good.
We're having
a good time.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So people that don't realize that it's such, especially young people, they don't realize that this is a process. This is something that just does not happen overnight. What would you tell them? Because it's like I'm seeing more and more kids that want to break into the industry, but they don't want to do the work.
That work ethic is telling you every single time.
Yeah,
it tells on you. And it will determine whether or not people want to even deal with you. Your reputation, people hear about you before they meet you.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think you need to say that again. That's one of the preaching points.
Your reputation precedes you.
More than you
would think. A lot of times in this business, that's how you end up getting more contracts. That's how people end up calling you up and say, I'm working on this. I like your vibe. Because they recommend you. You can use social media or whatever, but this mouth and people talking and saying, I have a good person for you, that is still at the top of the list.
And that's what I've been trying to share with some people. I said, I also do media coaching.
Okay.
So I train people on how to speak about their books and how to speak about themselves. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I was telling them, I said, a lot of times people don't know who I am when I get on that stage.
Yeah.
But baby, give me a mic
and
it's
a
tear
rap. It up.
And then that's when you're going to start seeing people call you over and over again. If you're able to, effectively talk about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then being able to back it up.
And you have fun doing
Yes,
it.
yes.
Who wants to spend hours with someone they're not having a good time with?
And they boring.
And they're boring. So on set, we put the music on, folks dance, we take pictures, we do videos. It's about making everyone comfortable, and you want that family.
Exactly.
But going back to what you said in terms of reputation, believe it or not, oftentimes when they send out a crew call and they're looking for folks, how about in some cases, we've already made our decisions before we did that. Because you get that call or that text message and say, I have someone who's perfect to work with you before it even hits the air, right?
And I totally get that.
So folks talk.
Every day, all day.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, you have got to be able to live up to what you say.
That's true.
And who you say you are.
That's right.
Because you just don't know who's going to recommend you.
And who's watching you.
And or who knows you that you don't know that know you.
Oh.
That's the one that tickles me.
That's okay if I hit this?
You bet, yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah, that was a good
I'm
one.
a guest, but that was a good one.
Because, it's like, because I have had
true.
people say, I heard of you. And I'm like, I
Really?
don't know you.
Right.
Or you doing such a good job.
No.
And in your mind, you're like,
Really?
huh?
Yeah. Right.
What you say?
But encouragement can come in great ways.
Yeah.
It encourages your heart, because sometimes if you pushing that thing and you're the CEO, you're driving it. It's good to hear that you're doing a great job.
And it's wonderful also when you are able to, my other new favorite thing, to collaborate with other women that don't see you as a threat. And that's really was what I think one of the things that was really getting old to me is that why as women we're both really in the same industry.
That's right.
But she's on my show. She interviewed me on her stuff.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Exactly.
But we weren't intimidated about
Not
each
at
other.
all.
So how do we, especially in this whole year is hashtag celebrate a sister. This whole year is going to be about that. And this month we're
That's
talking
really
about
good.
new beginnings because it's April, and
That's right.
April showers bring
May
May
flowers.
flowers. So how do we try to encourage women to work together more effectively? Not being catty,
Right.
not like, girl, her hair just ain't right. Well, tell her that her hair not right.
Right.
Don't talk about
And
her.
I saw something on Instagram. It said, if you see a sister's crown is crooked, fix it without telling the world. Sometimes just pull it to the side and
Yeah, just
put it
kinda,
back.
Because I actually, and I remember, I think I saw that same post, and I had a
Yeah.
friend of mine that had posted that her crown had fell off. I said, whoa, whoa. You're not connected to me, and your crown fell off. Let me text you.
Yeah.
That ain't an inbox. That's not a.
But what made you do that?
Because that was my girl. That's somebody that I support.
Right.
But I probably would have done that to anybody.
That's right.
Especially another sister. So what words of encouragement could you give women, especially in our industry, and how we can learn to support each other? Because you have a platform,
Right.
I have a platform, somebody else has a platform. But how do we learn to start to collaborate
Right.
effectively?
And work together.
Yes.
I think it's all about the motive from the beginning.
Woo-hoo.
It's what's going on.
I think I kind of like this new bell. Yeah.
Your motive. And so when you want to work with someone, it's like, well, why? Because after a while, it's going to tell. It's going to show.
Because it's about purpose.
It's like your slip showing. It's going to show.
Because your business going to be all in the street. Not the street, but the street.
Absolutely. So I think it's about your intent. And when you approach another woman and you're not trying to just siphon her, you're sifting her for her talents.
In other words, being a leech.
Being a leech.
leech.
And you're abusing your platform. It's not a win-win situation. It's all about you.
Right.
That's a problem.
That is a problem.
So anytime you want to collaborate with someone, it should always be a win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're thinking about what the goals you want to achieve, but it's like at the same time, even if they weren't thinking about it, it's like, what, sis, what do you want to get out of it?
Exactly. And I think that's where we have the problem. And then we don't want to admit that we actually want something out of it.
Yes.
And I think that's really because I'm friends with a magazine owner and editor-in-chief, and I told her we should do an event for women, not necessarily women in media, but
Right.
women that want to be that need to use media.
Yes.
Like, how do you do a headshot?
To propel their whatever their ideas
whatever their
are.
brand is, or whatever their business is. And we were talking. This was like, this will be an interesting collaboration because I'm radio, you're print, you're TV, and it's like, how do we mesh all that together and still have a collective?
Right.
That's a good word to call
Yes,
it.
a collective.
That we can really go out in the community, because I really feel like that's one of the reasons why a lot of our female businesses are failing. Number one, we don't know that they're there.
Right.
But then number two, they don't know how to effectively communicate or connect with those women that are in the industry.
Or their needs. Just being honest about it.
Girl.
Just
That right there, that is now.
we talk all day long about relationships, but why we can't talk about our needs and when it comes to business and partnership?
Yeah, because I need a man.
That's all we
tall,
talk about.
That
Yeah.
that got
And
so many zeros
The,
behind.
and the melanin
Yeah,
popping
yeah,
or whatever
yeah,
whatever
whatever
those,
it is,
those
whatever.
goals are. But why we
Why
can't
can't
do
you
that?
just be honest?
then
I don't know how to do an interview.
How about you write books and you write well? Can you help me with my website?
Do something.
I need help.
Yeah, but we don't want to ask
And
for
be
the help.
vulnerable. No, okay.
You cussing up in here. You just bringing out.
But part
all
of
the
growth
words.
is vulnerability.
Yes, indeed.
And when you want to grow with folks, you got to be honest about what you need and what you have to offer.
And that is major, because I think a lot of times, a lot of women and I'm just not going to say women, I'm going to say people in general, they don't know what they have to offer. Because how can I offer you something that I don't know that I actually have? Because I may want to start a business, but all I know is I want to start a business, but you're not thinking that, hey, you good at cleaning up houses.
Okay.
So maybe I need to say, look, let me clean your crib for a couple of
In
days, because I know
exchange
for whatever. But we got to be honest about
We
that.
do.
Because I know lately I have been so busy. I'm not soliciting anything, but I'm just using this as an example. If somebody was to say, hey, let me help you do this, I'm like, for real? What you need me to do? I got you, boo.
Yeah.
Because you just need to be honest about what you have,
Right.
and then really make that list of what can you do for someone
else. So it's being honest, and sometimes just introspection. Spend some time with yourself. Is that so bad?
Girl. We're going to talk about that
Just-
after. We're going to take a good little break.
just
and
sit-
we're going to come back and talk about being introspective. I like the way where this conversation is going. Y'all, we'll be right back with you in about 1 and 1, 2 and 2. Who knows? See you in a few.
Hey.
Here is my song, here is my song. Take what you want, baby, don't never let go. Everything that I do it for the love. My baby can't explain what I'm going through, and I wonder if you feel it too, like I do. My mind is in a haze. It's all because of you, my darling. Surely as the day is long, there's no way this love could ever be wrong. Growing strong. So won't you listen, girl, while I sing out this song? Here is my heart. Here is my song. Take what you want. Baby, don't ever let go. For everything that I do it for the love of you. My baby, I just can't Can't you hear what I'm telling you now? Here is my heart, here is my heart, here is my soul, here is my soul. You take what you want, girl. Never let go. For everything that I do it for the love of you. Here is my heart, here is my soul, my soul is yours. Take what you want, take what you want. Never let go. For everything that I do, baby, I do it for the love of you, for the love of
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Conversations with Deborah Franklin. Yes, I got the girl producing in pumps,
In
Diva.
pumps.
Yes,
I had my pumps on,
honey.
too. I had
And she
some
got her pumps on. We're going to
black
show y'all
stilettos.
because you know what? We should have did. We should have did shoe
shoe
game
cam.
tonight,
Yes.
but we didn't because I forgot to get some shoes. So I'm gonna make sure that we do the next time you come.
You
We
gotta have
doing
a
shoe
shoe
game,
cam.
honey. Because shoe
Yeah.
game, we have fun. Because we actually had a shoe party.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
You
the
did
shoe
say
lady.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
The shoe lady came, had shoes. We just had
You
a
can
great
tell
time.
a lot about a person by their shoes.
Haunty. Because today is comfy. 'Cause today is sassy summer comfy for
But
me.
when you're going out and you're looking at the guys, and
Oh,
you,
yeah.
look at
Because
their
if them
shoes.
jokers curled over, as my mama would say, that ain't right.
What does it mean though when it's curled over?
Curled over, that mean that,
Is it-
that the side is kind of leaning.
But what does that say about the guy?
That he old, he don't take care of his shoes, he ain't got no coin.
He not gonna take care of you.
And he sure ain't gonna take care of me. Because I'm quick to say, boo, you can't afford me.
Because look at your shoes.
Yeah, because you ain't right. You ain't right. But you know, as
It's
we
all about
digress-
presentation. I'm sorry. we
Girl,
always, go ahead.
And that's a great segue. It's all about presentation.
Yes, presentation.
Because you have to be strategic in everything that you do.
Absolutely.
Because I ain't gonna lie, I had an event yesterday,
Yeah.
and I took some kids from my school, but I was intentional because I wore my Conversations with Deborah Franklin shirt because I was like, I need to roll up in here and people need to know that I'm
Promotion.
in charge.
There's nothing wrong with
that. Not only am I educated by day, but I do have a little something on the
okay.
side. So
Right.
don't ever
Unapologetic.
underestimate who you
Unapologetic.
have in your presence.
That's right.
And that's all about knowing who you are and whose you are. And that goes back to being strategic. And then how does that fit when we're talking about collaboration? How does that fit? And like we were saying earlier, sometimes people think that having a strategy, being intentional is gimmicky
Right.
or
It's
unnecessary.
Right.
But what does that really mean let's stick with just our industry.
Okay.
What does that mean for our industry?
So, being strategic, it's about setting those goals and those milestones and being intentional. And, the both of us, we work with other people. People
Yes.
work with us, right? And who wants to follow someone that don't know where they're going? So so you have to know how to communicate your vision to other people because it's not about just you knowing, right? It's
Right.
about empowering and inspiring other folks who wants to get on board with you.
But you know what? You said something that was key, though. You got to know what your vision is.
That's right.
How can you expect somebody to support you or even hang with you if
That's
you
right.
don't know what your
You have
vision
no
is?
idea where you want to go within 3 months, within 6 months, within 9 months. You don't even know where you want to be next year.
And that says a lot too, because it's not saying that things can't happen overnight. It's not saying that you can't be an instantaneous success.
Right.
But you still need to have a plan.
You do need to have a plan. It said write it down, make it plain.
Woo, come on, Habakkuk.
Yes.
Yes, I know about that one.
And even if you're not much of a spiritual person, it's putting that energy down and being, again, intentional, writing it down.
Exactly.
Vision boards. People are doing the vision board, parties now. And folks who have said, like, you know what, I got that picture out and it actually came to pass. Look at that.
Right. But I'm going to take this vision board a steps further because I just had this conversation with somebody, I promise you, I think yesterday.
Okay.
We're having all these vision board parties. We're having all these, let's get the posters. Let's get the magazine.
Yeah.
Let's cut this out. Let's
Yeah.
do this. But y'all, there's work that goes behind
That
the
is
vision
true.
board. Just because you got that vision board doesn't mean that it's just going to happen overnight.
That is very
so
true.
you have got to know that there is a process and that even though you put the vision board up in 2018,
That's
it
right.
might not come to pass to 2020. And you cannot be discouraged in the process.
That is very true. That's right. So, there is work involved. What is it? Sweat equity?
Woo-hoo.
Sweat equity, you're going to have to burn that midnight oil. You're going to have to say, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to go out this weekend because that money could be reinvested into my business. You should be buying equipment. You should be taking some classes. You don't have time to be hanging out every day, every weekend when you're building something.
Girl, you about to make me run up out of here and
I'm
turn a cartwheel.
serious.
Because that's where a lot of people are missing it. I'm like, because I've always wondered, how you own a business and you out every night and that's not your business?
It's not your business.
It'd be different if you are a promoter,
Right.
you are a talent scout.
Right.
I get
Right,
that.
right.
But that's not what you do.
Yeah, and be intentional about where you go out and where you network. Some things you see on Instagram, it's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to check that out because there are people there that I know that I want to connect with in a genuine way, right? But you have to invest a certain amount of time in yourself every single day. It takes focus.
And then even with that focus, you have to be okay with asking for help.
Ooh. Now that's good.
You got to ask
And it goes
for
back
help.
to that vulnerability piece again.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
You know.
indeed. And I tell anybody is that even down to when you're trying to get your business started,
Yeah.
you might not have the money to pay everybody to do
That's right.
everything. But that's what colleges are for. That's what high schools are for. Find somebody that teaches at a high school that teaches multimedia,
Oh, you
social
talking
media.
right.
And then find that intern. Find somebody that you can train to do what you need them to do.
Right.
And you never know, that intern could turn into their full-time
And
because
your
now
most dedicated
they know.
employee.
You better tell somebody.
Okay,
Told
and your
them.
confidant. So as you continue to build, there's that person who they have your trust and you have theirs.
Exactly. And then, I hate to say this,
What's
you
that?
can't be afraid to let them go either.
What? You about to make me grab my bag.
Right.
Okay.
Because so many times you can get people that you're trying to help, but they aren't ready.
They're not ready.
You see the talent in them, you see the skill in them, and especially women.
That's
We're
right.
nurturers
Yeah,
by
nature.
By nature.
Right.
So we want to nurture. We want them to grow and to be this perfect person that we have envisioned, and we know that we see that their potential. But at some point,
Yep.
when their potential does not line up with your vision, you got to let
You
that
do,
go.
and you have to step back and say, you know what, and be honest with yourself. Like we talked about the goals.
Yes.
It's good to reevaluate who's on your team too every couple of months as well.
Right. Because if your team is not working
If
as
you're
a
hitting
team,
roadblocks, and sometimes you're hitting those roadblocks because of the people that are around you.
exactly. And when you are able to give and give
Yeah.
and give, because I tell everybody, once your calendar starts to fill up,
Yeah.
your team got to be on point.
And they have to be just as much invested as you are.
Right. And
Yeah.
even if you only got 2 gigs a week, they got to be on point because I tell everybody, you have to start to prepare for where you want to be. But then again, that's being intentional. That's setting goals.
Right.
If your goal is to be on a national platform, you can't still be operating like you in a as old folks like you can't you don't want to be a mega church and still operating like you
At
on
a
a storefront.
It's not going to work.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not going to
It's
work.
not gonna happen because
Yeah.
you're not gonna ever develop to who you could really
Be. Right.
and it just doesn't work.
And as you inspiring others, you should still be building and inspiring yourself and looking for inspiration yourself to feed you. It's like, who's nurturing you? Who's
Right.
watering you?
Right. And then sometimes, and y'all, and some of y'all know,
Yeah.
you got to be ready to move. You might not be able to do what you're doing where you're located in your geographical location. So you need to be ready to move because even though you can Skype in, even though you can do everything online. You can Facebook Live. Like, say, for instance, if I have a guest that's in California, I can Skype them in. I can Facebook Live them in for whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
But as a person that's trying to really grow in the industry, sometimes you got to be ready to go with the industry.
That is
And how do you feel about that?
no, and that's a powerful statement, because then you have to realize, okay, how far am I willing to go with this and actually trust the process myself? Because sometimes you can hold yourself back, and you can outgrow a situation and not be willing to take it to that next level, because
Girl,
the fear of success? And
Wow.
sometimes we sabotage ourselves.
Yes, indeed.
Because you get
Yes,
comfortable
indeed.
with that same group of people.
Yep.
And so when you need to be on a larger platform, you just minimize, what you're doing. But you have to fall back. And, we're both believers, right?
Right.
So, so God will speak to you and tell you when it's time to go and move.
And the killing part,
And that cloud has shifted.
Right.
You need to follow that
Follow the
cloud.
cloud.
When it stops, you stop.
And there you
When
have
it goes, you go.
And there you go. Because another piece of that, I tell everybody, God told me to move. And I said, when God tell you to move, you better go get them boxes, because you might end up moving when you don't want to.
No, that's true. And it
got
just
to be
leaves,
ready.
the timing is everything.
Oh, my God.
And you can feel when you miss the have you ever missed the opportunity?
Girl, stop.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth, shame all the devils.
Because I haven't had everything lined up, the way,
Right,
and did
right.
everything I was supposed to have done. But you can feel when you miss that moment and you go home and you're like, you know what? Or I didn't get that person's card, and the Lord told me to go over there and talk to that individual, and I just let that moment just slip right on by.
I'm too shy to talk to people.
Yeah.
Girl, bye. Honey, let me tell y'all about how we met. Somebody told me, I think it was Ramonda, the owner of Mahogany Book, said, y'all need to talk.
She sure did.
And I was like,
we just looked at each
we
other.
literally
Like,
had just walked in
just
the building.
walked in,
Literally
just got off
walked
from
in.
work, and I
Just
turned
walked in.
around. I
She
was like,
huh?
like, hey.
Well, hey, girl. And she was like, and then this goes back to knowing who you are and
That's
whose
right.
you are.
That's
Because she
right.
was like, so what is your name and who are you? Oh, I said, oh, that's what you want to know. Oh, I gave it to her.
Uh-huh.
I was ready.
Oh, you were
so,
ready.
And the thing is, and I tell everybody, you have to be ready.
That's right.
Because if you're not prepared,
That was good.
you got to be ready. Because if you're not prepared,
That was good.
if somebody walks up to you and asks you right now, what would it take for you to leave your job and go full time with your business? You better have a figure.
Oh, and then let me say this part too. You have to know, because people will start approaching you, right? And I was talking to a colleague the other day, and I said, I fell back from some projects because I knew I wasn't ready. Right? So you have to be honest with yourself. If it's not your time and you can't deliver on it, don't touch it. It's better to say, no, thank you. And it's better to say, I have another colleague that can definitely take this where you want it to go,
Exactly.
and be honest about it, than to take something on and it's a disaster.
And I'm going to take you one step further, but also don't be afraid to jump.
That is true too. There's a
Because
balance with
there
this.
has to be
there
a
has
balance
to be a balance.
because you have to know within yourself that you are not talking yourself out of an
Right.
opportunity. Because so many times we can have the skill and we'll be like, that ain't for me. That's not for me.
It's not my
That's
time.
for them. It's
Right.
not my time.
Right.
I said, girl, bye. Let the phone ring.
Or because of Instagram, you cheering everybody else on. You're doing the hand clap symbols under everybody's picture.
those-
Oh, girl.
Right.
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 But you're right. When is that moment that you're going to say, you know what, I got this. Let's ride.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I tell anybody, sometimes God can show you some things,
Yeah.
but He's preparing you for when it does come to pass. Because I told somebody I never wanted to teach because I never wanted to be in a classroom and get close to my students, and then the door opens for me for my career.
Interesting.
And I never wanted to do that. And then a situation happened. And I tell, this is my new thing, don't be afraid to do anything.
That's right.
And the opportunity opened where I ended up teaching. And I never wanted to teach.
Okay.
That's a career I fell into. Y'all already know. My students that are watching, you
You
already
make
know.
an awesome teacher, though.
But that ain't my thing.
Yeah, okay.
So, and I told them, I said, if that phone ever rings, I'm gone. And the phone rung.
Oh.
And so now I'm going through what I did not want to go
do.
through. And what God had already showed me that I was going to go through. But a lot of times we avoid the process.
That is
Because
true.
what if I had just started teaching when I was then?
Right, okay.
Which would have been 15 years ago if I had started before that.
So what do you think
Would
you
have-
gathered from that, though? What was the reason for starting the teaching profession and then getting pulled out from it? Was there, like
I had to grow.
hindsight?
No, You know what? I had to grow as a person.
Okay.
Because with students, see, I'm the type of person that once you make me mad, once you do me wrong, deuce,
You out.
I'm out. You cut. I don't fool with you.
Wow.
Because I didn't know how to. I didn't have the compassion.
Okay.
My compassion had to be dealt
That
with.
threshold needed to be. Okay.
Girl, okay, how about this? At my church, you do the spiritual gifts
Yes,
assessment.
yes.
I'll never forget my elder said, "You will never work the altar." I said, "Why? I know how to pray for people." He said, "Because you have no compassion." He said, "If the person come up to you the third time for something, you're gonna be like, look here,
Like,
didn't we just pray for you?
I just
Didn't I
prayed
just
for
pray
you.
for you? Go sit down." And he said, "We can't have that at the altar." I said, "Ooh, you know me so well."
But that's why you're a coach too.
Exactly.
Because you want to see progress.
Exactly.
So that's part of your nature
it's like
as well.
I've grown in that area, but I would have never grown in that area if I had not started to work with children.
Okay.
Because children are the most moodiest, temperamental people.
And honest.
And brutally. And they'll tell you, like my kids last year told me, "You was a little bipolar last year."
Really?
I was like, "Was I really that old?" I said, "But think about it. Think about everything." Well, we know you had a reason.
So you're a little bit
for
more
being bipolar.
open now to like even constructive criticism.
Oh, very much, very much. Because when you're dealing with children, it makes you grow with the person if you're honest about it.
That is true.
And so I had to go through that to be able to deal with other adults. Because I'm quick to say, baby, I teach high school. I don't do high school. There's a difference. I'm just saying.
I can only imagine the facial expressions of folks when you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you know how people, when somebody start acting like, dude, we did this in high school.
Yeah, like,
For
why?
real?
Why?
Like why? So, that's what
Especially
I
on
would
the
have
dating
to say.
scene, but that's another conversation.
Girl, that's a whole nother show. So you do need to be back next
We're
week.
coming-
Because see,
oh.
next week we have the crew from Adult Conversations coming on Conversations.
And the
with
weather's
Deborah
warming
Franklin.
up, so folks,
oh baby,
look, they
It's
coming
gonna
out of
be
that
on.
cabin now.
It's gonna be on and popping.
It's-
Because for those of you that don't know, Adult Conversations is just that. They talk
About
everything.
everything.
In fact, when I was a guest on their show, I didn't know how far they went.
Gonna take
but
it.
it was so fun because the church girl was on an Adult Conversation
Uh-oh.
show. So that was hilarious.
But some people think church girls don't date, and
And right,
we don't
right.
have no
or
swag.
that we don't have no swag. We shame to talk
we
about
drive,
sexuality,
right.
and that's the one that tickles me. Just because you say don't mean you don't talk about
Come
sexuality.
on.
Now we might not talk about it as much as other folk, or do some of the things that other people do.
That's
or,
right.
No. Let me clear that up.
Okay.
We don't tell everything that we do. Because I was always told a lady don't tell.
Okay.
But y'all, next week is gonna be on
You
and
made me
popping.
click my heels on
Yes,
that one.
come
But
on.
no, that's
come
good.
On. Yes. So next week we're going to be talking about who chases who
The man, you mean the relationship?
in the relationship.
Who's supposed to chase
Who's-
who?
and
who
why?
chases?
Who's chasing?
Ah,
Because is it okay for the woman to chase the
and
man?
pursue.
Or are we still old school?
Well,
So with
in the
Adult
Bible,
Conversation, they have
some of
men-
our girls in the Bible they chased.
They did.
Oh yeah.
They did.
Okay.
They chased, but they
Boaz.
also lost it.
Oh,
And we're not gonna talk about y'all.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
Boaz. For those that don't know, I got a little issue with Boaz. Cause see, everybody talking about waiting on my Boaz. Y'all, for all y'all know, they never said what Boaz looked like. For all you know, Boaz was a cyclops.
But he had it going on.
No, he did
He was
not.
mature.
No, he was old.
But sometimes-
Boaz was old. Boaz didn't leave the girl a whole loaf of bread. He said, "Leave her the crumbs. Leave her the leftovers. I don't want nobody leaving me no dumb blasted
But he was
leftovers."
watching her though. He took his time to
that
get to
mean-
know her.
No, he didn't. That was a business deal. Look
Wait
at
a
the scripture.
minute.
Look at the scripture. Look at the scripture.
Yo,
Look at the scripture.
that was a business deal.
It was
You
a
gonna say that
business
wasn't
deal.
love?
It wasn't love. It wasn't no love. What love got
Love
to do
wasn't
with it?
attached to
Not
none of that.
attached to none of it.
But you
because
know-
he wanted the land, and Ruth was the descendant for the owner of the land. So, but that was a business deal. And see, people don't talk about that.
Oh,
And
you have
what?
to what they talked about. They talk about being equally yoked.
But were they? We don't know.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Don't mess up my love story now. You're taking my love story and just doing
I
this.
said that to somebody else and said, "You will not get
You would
invited
not.
to no
Look.
singles meeting." I said, "Yes, I will," because I'm gonna be telling folks, get it together.
But Boaz-
Learn the truth, and don't be asking for a Boaz and you really want a Peter.
But Boaz had it going on.
He might have had it
though.
going on, but
He
we
had
don't even know if
something
he
to
had a
bring.
backbone.
Look,
Peter had a backbone.
But they also
not
said,
only
you
would
don't
Peter
get
cut your
involved,
ear,
though.
cuss you
But-
out, he'd still pray for you.
But he was honest about it, just
Yeah.
like David. He had his way of,
Yeah,
but
and David
he had
was
a
a
good
whole
heart.
nother issue.
Yeah, oh.
David was anointed and appointed, but he had women everywhere. See, you might not want a David. You might want the king, but you don't want everything.
You don't
that
want
go
all that
along
comes with it, but that's
the
another
king. That's a whole
conversation.
nother show. So we got look, honey. So it's like ladies. That's a whole nother show. Maybe we got to come back and do it.
This
We
is
got to
so
come back and do a lady show
good.
because it's like we talk about relationships and we want to talk.
Yes.
Oh, the Bible says this. No, boo. Did you really read that scripture? No, you didn't.
Let's
Stop
read it again.
Let's read this again. Let's talk about this and let's be real. Because so many times, and I'm kind of glad we went there. You have to be even intentional in your relationships that you build in business.
Yeah.
Because even those relationships that you build in business, you got to really look at it. Is it, like you said, is it really, what is the purpose of it? What are we doing? And I think
If it's worth your time.
is it worth it? Is it worth it?
Let me work it.
Hey,
Hey.
but it's like, come on, y'all. Let's get these
That's true.
together.
Yeah.
And let's learn to work together. Ladies, I want you to make sure that you watch out for us because we're going to come back with something. Because I feel like we done started.
We gonna keep
Look,
going.
this
Because
conversation.
that's because the sun is out. It's time
Honey,
to listen.
look, sizzling hot summer topics. We gonna look, don't play, because that's how I come up with some of my best shows. Sizzling hot summer topics.
Folks still
That's
looking
what we
for
gonna
their
be
mate. You go from
Exactly.
cabin cutie to summer bunny.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen. But that's a whole nother
Okay.
show.
All
We're
right.
gonna talk about that later. Amen. Amen. So, y'all, we have had so much fun. We are almost
This is
out of time.
good.
So, Miss Lady, how can people want to get in touch with you? How can they find you?
Get Instagram, producing in pumps. Producing, ing is active. I did that intentionally, not produce, not
Exactly.
No, producing, because it's every day. Producing in pumps TV.
I love
on
it.
Instagram.
She be killing Instagram, y'all.
Thank you.
I'm still learning. Now, this the neophyte. That's why I had to hire somebody, because I was like, baby, me and this social media.
And I had to get into it too. I'll be honest with you. I'm more of an in-person
Yeah,
type thing.
yeah, yeah.
So putting videos of myself and
That-
pictures
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. I had.
It was like I got to wear
You
makeup
get
every
used to
day.
that. What-
Really?
Um,
That don't do that. I got to comb my hair.
They don't.
I can't
They
wear
don't
baseball
know.
cap.
See, they don't. I don't. Do they want the real or do
They
they
don't-
want
yeah,
the,
they ain't
or they
ready
want
for
the
the real.
curated? You know,
They ain't ready for the real deal,
the
Holyfield, because
picture
it's a
perfect
hot
version.
mess.
It's a lot going on, but
Most
people like
definitely.
real.
Yeah, and you
Folks
know what?
looking for
And I
authenticity.
think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is that in this season, in this time, guys, we have got to be real and authentic
Yeah.
about everything that we do.
This is true.
We have to be ready to step out of our comfort zones and start to tackle those things like never before.
Yeah.
And if you game being intentional about what they're doing,
Yeah.
what would you tell them?
I would say, something we talked about before, but even if you have the heart to do it, make sure you read up on it and you take some courses and you match your ambition, right,
Wow.
with the knowledge.
Wow. Yeah.
It needs to be a balanced process.
And most definitely, because you have got to be balanced. You have for tonight, guys. I want to just encourage you: be you and be the best you that you can be. Go out and get my new book.
Yes.
Go to conversationsdeborahfranklin.com. Get your copy of 21 Minutes, 21 Days of Prayer and Meditation, as well as Adjectives is there as well. Y'all, I'm excited about this because this book is a beast. Because I was going through it the other day and I said, ooh, I made a couple mistakes, so I'm getting ready to go and fix those things and do what we have got to do, because we are getting ready to set this world on fire.
That's right.
Because we are going to be intentional with everything that we
Everything.
do.
That's
Well, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. Love you to life. Have a great evening. Peace out from Conversations with Deborah Franklin.
Oh, this was